Okay. Three, two. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
The longest race in sim racing and oval side, Brad Wren. What's up?
Well, I finally finished a race at Road Atlanta last week, sort of.
David Hall coming off a top 5.
Have you run Spa yet?
No.
I bet you it's because it's in the rain.
And William and William Westbrook.
Wait, is Spa really in the rain? That makes me sad.
Actually, it starts after a monsoon and dries. It gets down to about 33%.
Okay, I might be able to deal with that. Maybe.
Well, on today's show, we'll get you up to speed on the recent development blog from Greg Hill. Find out how your Indy 500 went. See who has joined the lineup for the Sim Gaming Expo this week. Asetek has released its new Forte Pro button box. Is iRacing deleting tracks, and will Mike ever get his M-Booster brake pedal from Moza?
That's right. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, we had the big development blog for Season 3 come out, and this is probably a more exciting one we've seen in a while, especially because it tickles a lot of our fancies. It missed one, but we did get a little response of it. But I guess we'll dive into it.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing he talks about really is new tracks, and the big one is the Shell V-Power Motorsports Park, but known as The Bend. I also heard this is a really, really long track.
7.77 kilometers. I think it's the largest track outside of the Nordschleife.
That's where Mike's going to get his win on this V8 supercar for his challenge.
Yeah, I like the long tracks, but it's called The Bend from South Australia, so that's coming. And then he gets into rescanned and remodeled tracks, okay? And so Iowa, Richmond, Sonoma, Gateway, Charlotte, North Wilkesboro are on that list.
Okay, just a little clarification. It's the second longest permanent racetrack in the world, next to Nordschleife, but Le Mans, which includes some street roads, right, is actually 13 kilometers.
But
Good
not
point.
permanent.
Yeah, but it's Le Mans.
Might as well be at this point, right? Okay, so that was track list of rescanned and remodeled. Then they have refreshed and upgraded tracks. Okay, so there is a difference. And so what do you guys think about this? And I think as we talk about the tracks that are being redone, like, for example, Charlotte Oval, we've also gotten word that they're retiring some of these old tracks, specifically the old Lime Rock and the old Charlotte. So the Charlotte that has the yellow walls, gone, like completely gone. You can never race it again.
And
I wonder what when was the last time it was used on iRacing for an event?
it's been used on some of the time attacks where they've done with the old truck that was free or
Unofficial, hosted. We do it and hosted a lot on the weekends. It's a different track, and then it makes you. So Nick Nebon did a nice video, and I kind of jumping ahead, but he did a nice video about this, and he said this creates a dangerous precedent, going forward. As the years go on, what's going to happen next? You look at what happens with Daytona right now. You got the current Daytona, and you have the 2008 Daytona. Well, the 2008 Daytona is bumpy, and you try to run a Craftsman truck around there, and it's just super fun, but completely different than running on the new Daytona track. Completely different. And I would hate to see that go away. So, like, where do they draw the line?
Well, the issue with leaving so many legacy tracks on is that means every time they update, they have to test on those tracks as well. They have to make sure that those tracks will work with all the changes to the cars, to the tires. They don't really have to worry about graphics, but there's a point where there's a point where the tracks get left behind by all the other technology.
Well, the
Well,
graphics is the issue. It's
and
as they
and, and
continue
this,
to expand the lighting and all that. That's what Greg touches on in that post where he announces, some of the retiring is because they'd have to go back and just continue to do more work to those tracks, which isn't really worth it at that point.
and when they upgrade to the new graphics package in general, like that's a huge thing to. The less they have to move over, if it's not something that they can see that is really needed anymore. I understand it. We only lease all this stuff. We don't own any of this stuff that we buy from them over the years. So, they get to dictate what they want to keep and they don't. I mean, technically, if you really want to keep these tracks, you just, you know, make sure you're using them in hosted sessions and things like that. Make sure they're popular so that doesn't really happen. Mike,
So I got a
don't
quote.
hold on, Mike. I don't think you're going to be at risk with the Daytona because it's used a lot. Like it's just specific things that you got to be worried about.
So I got a quote from Greg Hill that somebody put in our Discord, and it says this: "It will be a bit of a case by case situation. Some of the rebuilt tracks have artwork created over 15 years ago, and the artwork is not constructed in a way that modern graphics shaders can render correctly or with an appropriate level of quality. To keep that old content active long term, not only would we need to create the rebuilt version, but in many cases, we'd also have to do a complete update of the older version. In the case of Iowa, the older version offers a distinctly different driving experience versus the repave, and we intend to continue with its support." So that's the quote. And to your point, Greg, I think Daytona would fall into that category of Iowa. They'd probably maintain it. But I weighed in on this on the forum, and I said they need to rebuild those old tracks. I think we should. They have the data points for them. Rebuild them into the new tech.
Why?
Yeah, but that's something they're taking resources away, Mike,
Absolutely.
from their next update. You don't want to. If it's something that's like, this is where they're gonna have to have data. Like I know you're saying that on Saturday night hosted once a week, maybe go to Charlotte or once every year, but if it's not being used a lot, is it really worth it? Because it obviously probably takes up space too. So the next time you do your iRacing update, you'll have maybe you'll have less files and stuff too because of all this.
Remember,
I
we're
think-
gonna hit max point where they do all. There are no more tracks for them to do. Can they go back to that old data and rebuild it at that point? 5 years from now.
No, because they'll still be working on the Marshall
So
system
race control.
at that
Yeah.
point. I think it's a good middle ground to take some of the tracks that are very historic, like Daytona, where that the repave was such a drastic change. So I think they've got the right idea of doing it on a case by case basis. Also, Daytona is the crown, the crown jewel, the capital of NASCAR, essentially. So I think it's a good middle ground.
Yeah, but to Greg's point, I don't want to see them wasting resources on tracks that are just used and hosted or something like that, as opposed to either new content or keeping current content up to date. And that's what I want. I want current track up to date. That's what I want. When I watch TV and I watch guys race, I want to race on the same thing they're racing on. I don't want to race on something that's 5 years old because we're wasting time doing other stuff as opposed to getting a track updated.
But there are series that run the historic cars, and it's nice to have the historic track for those cars to run on too.
So what?
But is
one
a yellow
or two? One or two?
But
Yeah, a few.
But is a yellow walled Charlotte really a necessity?
Not necessarily.
Like the only thing. Okay, this is the only thing that I could see it being. I don't know what that Charlotte date was, but now that we're getting the 2000 Cup car, There you go. It might be closer to. That's what that 2000 Cup car would have ran on, right?
Yeah, but nothing's changed with the track.
Well, it was.
What about Legend? I think the Legend track is only in the old Charlotte. So are they going to rebuild that into the new, or what about the rally? Rally cross track.
I don't know. What are the numbers for Rallycross? I imagine they're probably pretty low.
Yeah,
mean,
I think that's Nick Nebon's point on his video is they are removing track. There will be less tracks to race than there were before.
Mike, the reason they're removing it is because it doesn't have the Roval part of it. That's why they want to keep it for the Roval. That's the most important part of Charlotte. Nobody cares about the actual oval part of the track.
Let's keep moving. Let's talk new race cars. The next one was the Ferrari 296 Challenge, which is faster than a GT3 car, apparently. Sounds phenomenal the way they describe it.
Yeah, it's 700 horsepower, but only about 3/4 of the weight. So, I mean, it's a lighter car.
Is this
and then
a fantasy setup for it? Is that what they're trying to do?
What was that?
It's not obviously they don't run it this way, but this is like
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
Yeah,
they?
no,
It's a different car. It's not the GT3 car. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have its own series.
Yeah, it's the Ferrari GT Challenge series is what it is. So has its own unique series that races around the world.
So it does still have ABS, so it's not quite a GTE.
So and then David, you can insert your sound effect here. The Gen 4 Cup project is releasing. So you got the Chevy Monte Carlo and Ford Taurus from 2003 with two distinct car bodies, stock car, and speedway stock car with two different paints as well for each.
Bobby's going to be busy.
Now that's what they explained, that was what ended up causing it to take so much more time, is that it did have to have two completely separate templates for each model, whereas say on the Indy car you just have a little area for the extra winglets that are on when you're on a road course, right?
So it's basically two different shells that have two different not graphics, but physics for it too as well. It's got like the different. Obviously, it's not running the same car. They've almost had to duplicate the car.
Yeah, you got unique physics for each body package.
I'm really looking forward to this. Look, my schedule's changed. I'm running NIS much less than I used to. This is going to be the replacement. I'm going to be running Gen 4 after work, I think. I'm going to be all in on it. I really am. The next one, how about IndyCar? Some comprehensive changes to the IndyCar.
Yep, it's getting the new tire that went under the GTPs. They're I believe, I forget. Did they say that the hybrid system is ready for the Indy or not? It's not. Okay.
Not yet.
All right. But that's the big. They're bringing it up to spec to the 2025 iteration. So there's going to be range limits that are more accurately tailored to each track type. They've added some barge board options for road course and short oval, as well as large oval. So that's the different, I guess, winglets is basically what that's referring to.
Also getting rain tires.
Yep. That means Brad's going to start running it.
Not an IndyCar guy.
Updated audio, new steering wheel.
I'm interested in the audio sound, like what they're up to, because obviously the IndyCar is just kind of constant drone going around.
There's a little sample of it in the forum post if you want to go listen.
And then how about this? Gen 7 NASCAR Cup is undergone a significant overhaul. Got our latest release-ready tire, first debuted on the GTP, and improved aerodynamics that bring the car closer to how teams now have the cars operating. Teams have made performance advancements over the last 2 years, and we have integrated similar increases in performance. The updated tire is a significant change that will refine many characteristics of the tires, including conditioning, limit feedback, and slide recovery over the limit. Finally, we'll introduce a new Gen 7 specific CFD-based drafting model that'll bring the driving dynamics and traffic closer to how the real cars behave. This was done in partnership with NASCAR.
So it'll be even more boring.
Yeah, so we're not going to be able to pass as soon as we pull out. We're just going to hit a wall of air.
That or it'll turn into like Super Draft because they'll get it wrong.
They forgot to put the RPM limiter in, and they're just going to leave it that.
I don't know. The tires, I think, is good. I think as we get into talk about the GT3, the biggest issue is the heat in the tires. You slide the tires, and the tires are gone. So I'm hoping that's going to help on the Gen 7s.
It'll be interesting to feel the difference in this build. As we go from one week to the next. I mean, we just all got done running Charlotte. How is it going to feel after this release comes out? Is it going to be different? Moving on to those GT3 tire stuff.
One thing, it will be a little bit different on the starts because the tires are going to be cold.
So there's probably less or more chance of maybe spinning the
tire spin
on a restart maybe, and 2 tires over 4 tires might have a significant different feeling.
Yeah, and there's going to be even more of the lap 1 heroes over driving.
So current setups are going to be obsolete on GT3, GTE because of the tire differences and other changes they've made. And my understanding is the sweet lap or the hot lap is the 4th lap now. So it takes a while to bring these things up to temp. And so you have to be super careful the first lap or 2 now.
Is that the 4th lap at Le Mans or the 4th lap at Lime Rock?
Well, I don't know. I think I like the idea. I like the approach that they're going with this. We saw it with the GTPs. I just wish from a qualifying standpoint or a racing standpoint, we were a little bit closer to life. So qualifying, guys get a longer set of time to get your tires up to temp. Start of a race, you got a couple laps under caution, behind the pace car for you to heat your tires up. They're not just going flying out and then going on cold tires. That's my frustration with it, is it doesn't mirror real life at all.
But I've tested the heating the tires up, and it's insignificant. It's so insignificant. The amount.
What he's saying, he wants it to be significant.
Yeah, it ought to be. Again, if we're going to get a half a lap, I mean, look, we got some road courses where we start halfway through the lap. Well, then give us heated tires. Simulate what it would be like on an actual start of a race, not me starting on cold tires.
So let me get this straight. You guys last week were complaining that they had the wrong starting procedures on IMSA races and stuff like that, or doing full laps around. Now you want pace laps to start the race?
No, I don't want pace laps. What I'm saying is, if we're going to try to mimic real life, the guy in the real series are starting with tires that are warmed up and are ready to race. We're not.
Moving on, Season 3 includes the release of rain tires, Lotus 79 and Super Formula. F4 gets a full dry and wet tire rework. The BMW M4 upgrades to the Evo version. And then the new steering wheel on the BMW M Hybrid. On the features, VR is a key focus at iRacing. They talk about some VR improvements here, including the release of quad view fixed foveated rendering. Whatever that is.
What do you think about that, David?
There was already a mod that I was running on my Reverb that did this. I don't know if I still have it installed or not for the Pimax, and I think the Pimax does something like this on its own as well. Basically, what it does is when you're looking straight ahead, you don't need the same level of resolution on the edges of the view screen. So it drastically cuts down the resolution on the outside to improve performance. So you have a sweet spot of high resolution And then on the outside, you'll notice if you turn your eye instead of your head, that it's kind of fuzzy, and that drastically increases the frame rate.
Okay, and then rain visuals have been adjusted to balance with physical rain, as well as so the visual matches how it feels. Adaptive AI support coming to hosted.
So back to the rain. Is anybody, or is it just me? Does it seem like the last couple builds, it's gotten harder to tell what's wet and what's not compared to when we first got rain?
I can't tell at Spa.
Visually,
Like you'll go around I don't remember what it's called, but there's the spoon, and then you got a sharp left-hander, and then two kind of sweeping left-handers, right? And you see no moisture on that part of the track, no puddling, no nothing. But when it's quote 50% wet, if you go down the inside of that corner, you're going around.
yeah. I mean, it used to be. I remember when rain first came out. I mean, you could see the puddling. It was much easier to pick your line and tell where the pooling was. The last few races I've run in the wet, you couldn't even really tell where it was standing.
Yeah, so there's actually a little blurb about that in the development update. It says we've spent significant time working on our rain systems to bring our rain visuals more in line with actual wetness represented in the dynamic track physics. There's been a subtle divergence over the past couple of seasons that's made it more difficult than it should be to visually discern the level of track wetness. It says they've retuned the systems and the work is done, but it's to be determined whether it makes season 3 or not.
Okay, and then ongoing future development. He talks about the new Sim UI, and we have some screenshots of it. Well, kind of pretty.
Kind of reminds me of Race Labs.
Did they hire the guy from Race Labs? New rendering engine. He talks about progress being made there. And then physics. Focus on improved physics in iRacing is on a continuous basis. Career mode.
I like the upcoming tracks that they're talking about here too, because those are two tracks that aren't permanent tracks that there might be offering or not adding to iRacing.
They do mention miscellaneous. We moved off the older Oracle on-premise solution into Oracle's cloud. This should allow us to continue scaling as we grow and reduce or eliminate the database-specific maintenance periods we have needed each year. So that's pretty cool, because the way that works is when it's the Oracle cloud, like it can be multiple databases in different locations supporting the same application. And so if one goes down, it's available elsewhere, and that makes redundancy.
So I don't think we talked about it, and I don't remember where I read it, but no hybrid system for the GTP yet.
Correct.
No.
They would hope to
Delayed.
have it done, but yeah, not yet.
I'd say this: if they get it done before season 4, put it out.
Okay, and then track teams pushing intensely on Mexico City, which is going to be quite the substantial effort by the time we're done. It's going to look and drive great. We've updated our Miami data now that the Grand Prix has had its May race buildup, and we are working through transforming the facility to more accurately represent race day.
That's got to be hard because they got to do that all off pictures, right? Like they can't, once the track's been disassembled and gone, it's gone, right?
We also have a handful of city tracks in the pipeline.
All right. What other city tracks?
Is that a Mexico or a Monaco tease or a
I doubt
Maybe.
that.
or you got Detroit?
Detroit. What, Adelaide? Isn't that a straight
What's
circuit?
the other one? The one in Florida,
St. Pete.
St. Pete. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need St. Pete.
You need St. Pete for the IndyCar schedule.
St. Pete and the Detroit one will be good for it. And what about that Texas one that's going to be coming up next year?
Well, the one that's around the Cowboy Stadium or whatever, Arlington.
And
So there was nothing. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
One more tidbit, David, I found in a separate forum post from Greg Hill. When someone asked him about race control, which I know you're worried about, he said, quote, "That project is underway, but I'm reluctant to offer estimates just yet. That said, we're thrilled with the team's expanded capabilities in the areas of race control, as well as the progress that's already been made. Sorry to be vague."
So what comes first? Mike's Moza break or the race control?
Mike's break.
Look,
Yeah.
they got an email that said it's moved to shipment, but that was
You're
days
supposed-
ago, and I
Hey.
still don't have tracking.
Hey, you're supposed to. That's supposed to be a teaser for later, Mike.
But they did at least say something about it, because I posted in our thread that we've had going kind of in the forums now about the fact that it had not been mentioned in the most recent dev blog. And so Greg replied, and I said, well, he said sorry to be vague, and I said, well, vague is better than nothing. So sort of scratches the itch a little, but boy, we saw it again today in the example of where there's just a couple of things that'd be awesome if they could just patch them, get rid of the having to wait on people, like the waiver rounds, having to wait on people coming out late, or it's that was the roughest thing. I know the restarts are important too, but the roughest thing is just how it handles people coming out of the pits late.
iRacing soon.
Hashtag soon.
Yep. And so that's just a couple of weeks away. Are we really in week 10?
Week
Okay.
13 coming.
Well, it's funny we say week 10 because we have a top 10 highlights video next. Who watched it?
I love the first one where they're racing at the Nürburgring and 3 and 4 wide, for the finish here. The way these cars draft and stuff, you can't get away from each other, so it makes these real tight finishes.
Yes, the Mazdas.
But after 11 11 miles, how do they still end up being that close together?
You can't. You're in the draft. You especially on the long straight leading up to the end of the race there.
But I'm just saying, there's a lot of places to make mistakes and lose time, and
They're just good.
It was a good video. I mean, lots of good side by side racing. It always reminds me of cars that I still need to race on, and reminds me about rally cross and stuff like that, and gives me ideas. I like to watch this.
It looks pretty road course heavy, other than the Indy cars this time. As I cut through it. All right. Ain't nobody got time for that, right, Brad?
Yeah, so we've got some posts here about Max Verstappen's this past weekend. So Saturday night, typical Max fashion, sets the fastest lap on iRacing by over a second. Sunday goes on to win the Grand Prix at Imola, and then it's just typical Max. I guess he's not listening to his bosses since they threatened him last year about no sim racing for you.
I wonder if Max is going to get mad that I guess it should be Franz Hermann should be mad that he's wearing the same thing. Max is wearing the same thing that Franz wears.
So yeah, he was in the 24 hours at the Green Hell. Obviously a lap faster than anyone else in the race. I think that's kind of impressive, but it is a long lap. The other thing that happened with Max this week is if you scroll down, guys, you'll see there was the F1 movie premiere in Monaco for the new F1 movie, and all the drivers were there for the private screening except for Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen. Where was Max? He was streaming on iRacing with his new bright pink Asher Racing wheel.
Did you realize he has a newborn at home too? So in an interview he said he was at home to spend time with his family because he's going to be away for the next couple weeks. So it was a Wednesday night screening.
Well, I mean, he's in the house, so he's home, right?
Yeah, he's got to try his new Asher
Well,
wheel, dude.
When you guys had your newborns, they sleep for so long anyway, so you got to be able to do something else, right?
Used to love nap time. Nap time was great during the day.
I saw him getting crap for this, and I was like, really?
And the third story we got from Grid One Sim, apparently met up with Max this week, and Max was giving sim instructions to another guy who was in a sim, running a race. And it was kind of funny. He's like telling him shift, like when to shift. Like the guy didn't know when to go from like first to second to third. And so he was like literally saying shift, and kind of coaching him along, like how to do it. So who wants lessons from Max?
Though, if he's giving us lessons, the skill gap may be so far that it's just not efficient. All right, we already kind of covered the deleting tracks, so let's roll on down. iRacing, how was your Indy 500? We've got a tweet from the final lap from iRacing. On the final lap, Philip from Kraus Sim Racing takes the open setup Indy 500 victory. 3-ride with Robert McCliska the third and Jason Brophy. And that's a shot of him at the line.
It's a nice replay if you want to watch that final lap or two. Really great finish. These guys getting it done. Down below,
that wasn't top split or anything. It was just a specific race.
No, that was it. That was the top split.
That was top split.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the big winners. And so overall, it says here 9,522 driver entries did 1,061,000 laps.
So is that combined, fixed, and open?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, because it says the Indy 500s, plural, and it also asks if you ran the fixed or open in the same tweet.
Anybody remember where the numbers were for Daytona 500?
500, it was 24.
500.
I do not.
I want to say 10,000, but I don't know. It was 15 or something for the 24, right?
That was this past year was the biggest in history, wasn't it?
I want to say it was 15,000, but we can go back and look at our show notes.
I'm looking it up. I'll get back to you as we move on to the next topic.
Well, the other one is another Indy 500 forum post by George Masters. Now, this one's crazy. He titles it, "Can I ask iRacing to review my Indy 500 win?" He says, "Hi, bit of an odd one. I did win the 8th split of the Indy 500, but there was a collision on lap 199 that was, in my opinion, my fault. And if the stewards of iRacing agree, is it possible that they can reverse the positions of me and the guy I feel like I screwed?"
No, you won the Indy 500. Move on.
Yeah, that's the answer.
It's a nice gesture, but yeah, just as long as if the guy protests you, the guy protests you.
Yeah, I mean there were some decent thoughts in there. Someone said send the guy a $5 iRacing credits. That'd be a nice little thing way to say I'm sorry.
Look, just saying something means a lot to most people. Just
Absolutely.
caring. Just, dude, I'm so sorry I ruined your race.
Yeah, I had an incident at Road Atlanta where a guy did an overly aggressive rejoin, didn't gather it up for control. And he did apologize, and I sarcastically said, "Nice rejoin," but then he apologized again. And I just said, "Thank you for owning it," and moved on. And, because that does I think, kind of erase it. For one thing, it's nice for somebody to just take credit for it, but it also leaves you with the feeling that they might not do it again, unlike somebody who's unapologetic about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it de-escalates quickly. I mean, like last night, the 600, when I got taken out, I was upset, but he immediately apologized. I mean, what are you going to do? It happens. It's racing. What frustrates me is when you do mess up and you do apologize, and guys just continue to berate you like you're an idiot. That's when I get frustrated.
Oh, we got to. I got to. Since it's brought up, we got a crazy story from today's Coke 600. This guy is going to be gone from iRacing for a long time. I don't remember his name. I can remember the car number, but I'm not going to tell you. But we had a guy in our split got involved in an accident near the front. The guy that caused it immediately said, "Yeah, I messed up. I'm sorry. I apologize." This other guy spins him in the pits first, and then passes the pace car, comes around and takes out like 5 other cars in the back of the field, and gives the guy who wrecked him up to 14x before he finally gets disqualified. And the guy apologized immediately as soon as he caused the accident. So I mean, yikes. Taking out people who weren't even involved.
It was crazy, David. I hear you on the radio. You're watching your mirror. He's coming up behind you. I'm telling you to get out of the way. Get out of the way. Try to miss him. Because he was intentionally wrecking people under caution.
It was pretty crazy.
What were the numbers from the 500, David?
The numbers for the VCO 20. Oh, nope, that's the Daytona 24, not the 500.
24 was 24,000 people, though.
Yeah.
Nailed
It
was David, I was
the Wednesday fixed setup race had over 1,500 entries for the Daytona 25. It doesn't have. I don't think they released a total for the Daytona 500.
Probably have to go back to one of our old scripts. They probably had a screenshot for it.
Well, Chat GTP was able to find the VCO post, but not anything about the 500. Other than that, there was 1,500 in the Wednesday fixed.
Can Chat GTP find Kimmy his voice in iRacing?
Yeah, that's next. Kimi Antonelli, F1 driver, has said that he has been banned from the iRacing voice chat since 2020. He was 13 years old at the time.
I didn't realize David's bans. Those are rookie numbers that David has. This guy's got it on a whole new level.
Can iRacing ban it and then forget about it? Is that what happens?
Well, no, there are some indefinite bans where they're just like, you're done. There are voice chat bans that are indefinite.
Yeah, we've seen famous drivers, Scott Speed, try to work with iRacing to get out of penalties they deserve, and
Verstappen
I don't know
too, didn't he?
Right, and so do you think Kimi can just make a call to Tony Gardner and say, "Hey, bud, hook me up"?
Well, did you see what he did, or what's going on at? Was it last weekend or was it this weekend? I think he had all his graduating class with him at the race, celebrating. The Mercedes team invited all his graduating class to the race.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's so young and has that opportunity.
All right, Brad, you talked about the Coke version or the Coke series version, right? Of the Coke 600, which is not actually 600, but it was a longer race, and you had some positive things to say about it in chat.
Yeah, so the Coke Series rolled into Charlotte this past week for the longest, I guess, race of their season, miles-wise. Ran 160 laps at Charlotte. A rather entertaining race. I mean, it was a good race, and I think I put in the chat that I think they need to go back to longer races. Wasn't the normal carnage like we typically see. It was a good race. I mean, I was entertained. I watched it. We got down to about 15 laps to go, and between Tucker Minter, Parker White, Seth the Merchant, Graham Bolin, I mean, you could have thrown a blanket over the guys. The last 10 or 15 laps, I mean, it was just swap, 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 swap. Fantastic racing. They ended up, unfortunately, with a few green white checkers, but Tucker Minter did take the win. Just a good race, and I really think that they need to look at doing some of these longer races. It was mentioned by some of the guys racing. The Rockingham race was a little bit longer. That was a much more enjoyable, better quality racing. So no, it was. I was entertained.
37 cars on the lead lap. Like nobody wrecked out really till right at the end.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, there was a spin here or there, but I mean, it was good racing. So as we come out of Charlotte after 7 races, Steven Wilson has the lead in the driver's standings with 3 wins, followed by Tucker Minter now with 2 wins, and then Bobby Zielinski has won as far as iRacing segment 2 standings after 2 of 4 races. Bobby Zielinski is in the lead with Parker White second, followed by Steven Wilson, Casey Kerwin, and then 5th was Donovan Strauss. So an enjoyable race. If you have time, I would go back and watch it.
All right. This next post is an Instagram post. It's a little intriguing, but it's from Yellowstone Grand Prix. It says, it may be ugly and wet outside, but it's perfect here. Races are happening and we have sims open. Grab some friends, come have some fun. So is this somewhere over in the far west?
Yellowstone National Park, I believe. And so they have 6 sims. They show a video here briefly of the sim lounge, I guess you'll call it. I see some couches and some rigs here. Maybe even a motion rig in the corner. It's hard to tell. It's a quick video.
Yeah, so this is when I saw this, I was kind of like, this is kind of a smaller setup than a lot of these stores that are gigantic. So they probably don't have as high of an overhead.
Well, you got to, you think Yellowstone, like, well, they don't have a lot of traffic there, I bet. Kind of a unique place to put a business.
They have a website. I mean, I'm on the Instagram site, but I can't seem to find anything.
Yeah, it's YellowstoneGrandPrix.com. Idaho Falls is where they're located.
Oh, okay. So is it not in Yellowstone? They just named it Yellowstone.
I mean, I'm sure it's close. Yellowstone's pretty big.
It's close by, right?
Yeah, but I doubt it's actually in the park.
It won't matter how close you are if that volcano goes off.
That's right.
I'm curious how many customers they get and how many of them are locals versus travelers.
Pretty cool.
So they're not just, I guess they didn't show it in the Instagram reel, but they're not just a sim. They've got their 6 sims, but they also have slot car racing and some a lot of diecast merchandise. So they're like an entire motorsports kind of store.
And that's a good way to be a little bit diversified, and it's something that you can make some extra money on after somebody comes in for a diecast, or somebody comes in sim racing that's like, hey, I want a diecast. So that I could see them being successful. But I know that Mike is absolutely in love with this next post, so I'm just going to pass this one over to you, and I'm going to let you give the title and say it as many times as you want.
Well, we had a title idea in the chat. Scan the wiener. Title idea. And so what's happening is the Wiener 500
Yes.
is set for Friday at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And what are we talking about? The Oscar Mayer Wiener mobiles. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them actually. They brought them all together at the Brickyard, and they are going to run a race with these 6 Wiener mobiles. I saw these things lined up on the track, and I'm like, you know what? That actually looks pretty fun.
Are those regulation size?
They should run those at IRP and call it the Little Wiener 500.
What if they do a Le Mans race? Would it be the Petite Le Mans Wiener?
look,
The petite wiener.
you have the Cletus McFarlane in his Crown Vic racing with his Crown Victorias. 100% we should scan a Crown Vic, okay, and let's have Crown Vic racing. Why not? It's real racing. He actually races those. Let's do it. Let's do it in iRacing. And look, this is actually happening Friday. They're actually going to race these Wienermobiles.
Yep,
Why not?
Okay. All right. So, are they really going to race them, or are they just going to turn laps around the track?
Oh, probably that, because apparently it's the actual drivers who normally drive these things around the country that are going to be.
What? I was hoping it would be Alex Rossi.
Oh my gosh!
Probably a lap at how slow they're gonna go.
And Connor Daly and those guys. That would be fun.
I just hope they take their time when they go through inspection, look for any additional bondo between any of the gaps of any of the.
No, to make sure they have the right condiments on it.
I said,
We're gonna-
ketchup might give it away.
Yeah, we're going to lose some engines, I think.
So whoever wins it, would they be cooking or roasted or boiled?
I don't know. I just hope they all can catch up.
Oh my god.
They'll be the hot
Ooh.
dog if they win.
Hope they can all catch up.
That needs a badum.
All right. Okay. Let's move on. So we've got some Sim Gaming Expo related stuff. Neat little side story for that for me is that I've met one of the influencers that's going to be at the event is actually been in the last two races with me at the Coke 600. So we're both featuring Sim Expo paint. So I was like, "Are you going to be there?" And he's like, "Yeah." So are we. But Overtake GG has previewed the Sim Racing Expo.
Yeah, they're like a media partner apparently, and so they put out a little article, kind of highlighting 3 of the vendors: Heiskenville, Dark Fusion, and 4D Raceware. Not much to the article, but it's neat to any press is good press. To try to gain growth. And look, this week they really got some growth. First of all, we'll say we have a code IRLP10 to get 10% off your tickets. But announced was Funky T-Bone. I don't really know Funky T-Bone. Do you guys know him? Okay, well, he's going to be there, and he's a content creator for sim racing and motorsports. So excited to see. I need to check out his stuff and see what he's about. And then the big one this week was SimLab has been announced to be an exhibitor. That is so awesome. I mean, how many of us have SimLab equipment? David, you have the P1X. I have the P1X. Bobby, you have the P1X.
No, I have a lot of SimLab stuff though.
Also, not just an exhibitor; they are a platinum sponsor as well. So they're going to be doing. I think they're doing 16 of the cockpits that are going to be there. Yeah, 16 P1X Pro racing cockpits will be there to be used. As part of some of the competition area.
That's the one I would buy probably if I was buying one too. I can't wait to see it.
This is going to be a sweet event.
It's really building up to be great, isn't it? I mean, you got the main manufacturers all committing to be there. Not all of them, but I mean, you got SimiCube, and now we got SimLab, and
Still a couple months
it's
away,
very
so
exciting.
We've still got a couple months away.
Yeah.
We can still have more people added.
Oh, I think you're still going to get more.
And they're off to a really good start. It's looking promising now, like very promising.
Yes, and the next announcement, Sarah Nochi, one of my favorite new YouTube equipment reviewers. Sarah will be there. And there was another one called SimLight.
Yeah, they're a
I haven't heard of
chassis manufacturer based out of Cleveland, Ohio. So pretty neat. Took a look at their website. That's some nice looking stuff. Nice to see some stuff made in the U.S.
Says okay, so the innovative Simlight Pro V1 cockpit weighs just 70 pounds and arrives near fully pre-assembled. That's interesting. I've also never heard of these guys, but I'm gonna check them out.
Wonder how big
Yeah,
the shipping package is.
Don't care. So,
70 pounds is pretty good.
yeah, just the frustration of taking 2 days to put one of these, you get an 80/20 rig. It's a lot to put it together, especially when you're doing it by yourself.
You took 2 days, scrub.
Oh yeah, mine took me forever.
Could be like
It took me about 8 hours. It took me about 8 hours.
Could be like mine when mine arrived. It arrived in 2 shipment orders, and the first one was only the monitor part, and I couldn't even consider putting it together until the second part came.
I think I still have the time lapse videos because I actually recorded it all in time lapse, and I did have to start over a couple of times with a couple of things because I was like, I got into a spot and I was like, oh, that's not right. All right, well, we can start talking events now. This one is from Michaelette. It's the 2025 Majors 24. It's going to be on June 21st, 2025, and it's got an awesome coin that goes to the split winners of all the splits. Last year, they had 13 splits. This year, this will have the GTP, the LMP2, and all the GT3s. It's open to all iRacing members. I don't remember if there's a registration fee on this one or not.
It doesn't say, so
I'm in. I'm off that weekend, David, so I'm in.
All right. Well, we got me, you, and Tom. Then at least Brad. If you don't get a GT3 team, you could just come over to the dark side.
Prepare for the rain.
Join us.
Yeah.
Isn't it all
If
rain?
not, you said it's going to be pretty heavy rain because they haven't had a rain event. Well, other than WEC or MEC, they haven't had a rain event yet.
All right. So since they haven't had a rain event, let's just go ahead and do something unrealistic.
Well, it's rained for 48 hours here and where I am in the last couple of days, so it's not that unrealistic.
You weren't trying to drive a race car around the house, were you?
No.
Top 4 splits will be broadcasted. There's going to be 4 full course cautions for the top 4 splits. Live admins will handle real-time protests in all the splits. Splits are set by the team average in pre-qualifying, and it's actually the team average of the top 3. You can
keep going, David.
Yep, a race day grid photo. Though I hope it's not very organized. So the last time that part didn't go great. But I really love this. I want this coin, man. This is one I really want to get, and I'm feeling positive about taking care of a car in the rain. So I'm looking forward to running this.
How are they going to protest or monitor protests for 24 hours in a rain event? That's not going to be fun for those administrators.
Possibly, but when somebody just loses control of their car and it's not avoidable contact, I don't know if that's necessarily always penalizable, right?
Yeah, but they've still got to review it. That's the worst part.
Yeah. But they'll have a lot of crew, and they've got an actually back end software system now that runs the whole protest system. And it's actually linked into their website, and it'll send you a notice if you've been protested on the actual website. What's the next event, William?
The 24 hours of the Nürburgring is coming up June 6th through 8th, 2025. Same classes. Well, not the same classes. I'm sorry. GT3, Porsche Cup, GT4, TCR, and the BMW M2 is going to be in there this year. Yeah. Same normal special event.
William, but out of those cars, which one is going to be the overall winner out of all those you just called out?
Overall, it'll be GT3.
Okay.
Unless something really weird happens. I guess
I might try to get involved in this race because I've been running this track a lot, trying to learn it.
The Porsche Cup would be fun around there, but also scary.
Just try not to die.
Yeah.
Which I have. Trust me.
Just one time too hard into a corner, lock the brake, and you're done.
All right,
Yeah,
so that's
it's
coming.
so many corners. I can't memorize it.
I haven't even tried.
And then the next one is the 4 Hours of Thruxton, presented by Cube Controls, May 30th through June 1st, with the TCR class. And we're just going to... you go ahead, Brad.
This week we got the Coke 600 in the NIS, so all your normal NIS time slots, 400 laps, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we actually have a afternoon winner on the show with us tonight, Mr. Bobby.
Bobby wins his split.
That was a long race.
4 hours?
It was probably closer to 4.5 for our split. We had a ton of cautions.
Didn't you end up leapfrogging with pit strategy at the end?
So, yeah, had it stayed green, I would have won on pit strategy on the pit stops, but a caution came out like 5 laps after I pitted and everybody else pitted. So I am cycling out to the lead, which we ended up pitting again.
Well done.
And then what else we got going on? Anything else on that list, Brad, in this week?
No, just kind of a good recap. We pretty much hit on all the highlight stuff. So it just gives you a good opportunity to see what's going on around the service.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out the Discord. Get involved in the discussion. Lots going on down over there. I'm having fun with it. And, of course, our show notes at iRacersLounge.com. And then you have the merchandise, iRacersLounge.shop. And we are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network.
All right. Did we not run fantasy for the All-Star event?
There was no fantasy.
Okay. I'll just kind of clip that part out.
No fantasy.
And here we go. All right. The first thing we have is a post from HB Sim Racing. It's an Instagram post. It's in Spanish, and I'm still just not quite fluent enough to make sense, but they're talking about coming to the North American market, I believe, and including the United States. And there's something about Argentina in there.
Yeah, so it's an Argentinian company. Yeah.
Did you find the English version, William?
Yeah, I've got it. It says HB Sim Racing crosses borders. Very soon we will be present on the North American market, bringing our simulators all over the United States. From Argentina to the world, we will continue to grow together with the sim racing community. So they're an Argentinian company. They have some cockpits, and they are resellers of both Cube Controls and Simagic.
Yeah, looking at their website, some interesting stuff. They've got actually a kart, like a kart rig that would simulate kart racing. Some interesting stuff. Not your traditional 80-20, but some rather neat looking chassis.
Yeah, HB2, whatever that is, that's definitely interesting. Don't think it's my cup of tea, but it's different.
Yeah, it is. A lot of customizable stuff. So pretty neat.
Well, like Donald Trump will tell you, these companies from outside the United States, they want to sell to the United States. We're the biggest market there is as far as consumers go. So it's no surprise that, you have companies like this that want to do business here, and that's pretty cool. I welcome them.
All right.
Then we have companies that don't want to do business in the U.S., David.
Yeah, we have an Asetek Formula Pro steering wheel, and I guess we can't get it Right. I don't know when that's going to affect because I'm not in the market for steering wheels right now. It's a nice looking wheel. It's their Forte Formula Pro steering wheel. It's got a lot of button options. So quite a few rotary knob options as well. Nice 4.1 or 4.3 screen on the front, right? This post, I can't see the paddles in the back, though it does say something on the post about 4 different options for the handle attachments.
Yeah, it's what they've moved to with basically like a button box. Then you can configure, what kind of handles you want. So I watched the video. They moved this with this option. It's a mold injected mold is what they're using. So it's a lot lighter. I'm going to keep the cost down on it. I've never been a fan of the shape of their wheels. This is probably the best looking one that they put out just because it has a better shape to it. So the rest of their stuff, I just don't like the aesthetics. I don't like the aesthetics of their wheels.
I do like the layout of the button functionality because, of course, for me, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, being as I don't see the wheel while I'm racing.
Did you notice the display isn't square or rectangle? It's actually wider at the top than it is at the bottom. That's kind of unique.
Sort of.
It's
There's a square screen and then there's LEDs, and they're both underneath the same glass cover. There's the RPM lights.
It's a proprietary screen, so it's something they've developed. And the one thing was interesting is I guess they have Race Hub software that you can power it. It is also SimHub compatible, but then you can actually use a hybrid of the two. He didn't really get into that a whole lot, but you can actually run SimHub and then also run the Race Hub stuff at the same time. So that's an interesting thought.
It is intriguing. If you're looking at a high-end wheel, this is did you remember the price? I mean, after you build them, it adds up. But
yeah, it's 780 euros. That translates to $888 plus import tax, and you have to buy the handles on the wheels separately too, and that's going to run you about 110 euros.
Yeah, I mean, and again, they've made the choice not to sell directly to the U.S. He did say in there if you from the U.S. you can buy it, you just got to pay all the dues and duties and everything else that you're going to have to pay at customs. So again, that's a big turn off for me right there.
Yeah, it's expected to ship August 14th, so who knows what the climate will look like at that point.
it looks pretty cool. I like the button box.
All right, Brad, what are the F1 drivers using? So this video basically covering the gear for some of the big F1 guys?
Sort of. OC Racing put this together. He basically tries to give a snapshot of all the current F1 drivers and if they've had social posts with what kind of sim rigs they've got. And I mean, some of the stuff is quite outdated. The thumbnail is really not very.
It's very deceiving. The thumbnail.
It's very deceiving because I watched. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, Max is not using Fana crap. He's using SimuCube and everything else. Or no, what does he got? Leo, but he's got the Bodner, doesn't he?
What was that pink rim he just had?
Yeah, that's Asher. Asher Racing.
Asher, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, it kind of just, like I said, it's kind of a snapshot of everybody. Most of a lot of it is videos they put up or social stuff, and some of it dates back to during COVID. Some of them don't have much activity now, but I mean, it was interesting. It's more clickbait than anything else. There was nothing to me that was groundbreaking or in it at all.
I think the only ones you see stuff from right now anyways is Max and Norris. There's not many of the other drivers do much.
All right, Mike, you're kind of the brake guy right now, so give us the brakes on this next thing.
Well, it's called the Thorpe 2 braking system, patented technology, and the Sim Racing Den talks about it. He says, new video alert. I spent some time with the Acetec S pedals that feature this new Thorpe 2 braking system. Having previously owned the original Invicta pedals, I wasn't completely sold on them. But does this updated version change my mind? I have not yet seen his video, so we'll probably have it for next week.
But
What do you think this is when you look at it?
he talked about this a ways, I don't know, a couple months ago when they were releasing all their stuff. It's a different type of hydraulic or something. I don't know. You can't buy it in the U.S., so
It does look like it's some kind of hydraulic thing, yes.
Yes, so
Oh.
I have never messed with Acertech except for when Petit Le Mans came. Motul set up a simulator and they were running Acertech equipment. I don't know what pedal was on there. I didn't pay that much attention, but whatever it was, I did not like it for sure.
it's probably either the Forte or maybe the La Prima.
The original ones.
Yeah,
Right.
very
Super stiff.
very short throw, super stiff.
Well, they had it. The throw actually lengthened out because they said they were getting too many complaints about it being super stiff from people, which I was like, well, that's how it's supposed to be, but whatever.
I find it hard to believe that that's going to be a hydraulic pedal. But I guess I'll have to see.
You know, again, the sim coaches are super stiff, but if you've got it set up where it can actually attenuate with the amount of pressure you're pushing, that's the way to go. You don't need as much throw because it really can detect how hard you're pushing more than how far you're pushing, and that's just better. But Will, do you think this next wheel is better? No pun intended.
Wow. The new Cube Controls F-Core Evos are out. I think we covered the preview of them a while ago. I recognize these. But Sim by Racers, I guess that's a web shop, put up an Instagram post and says they are here. The F-Core Evo combines a cutting-edge technology, precision mechanics, and redefined design to deliver top sim racing experience. I mean, they kind of look like just upgraded versions of their old Cube controllers. It didn't change all that much. And apparently, these people, Sim by Racers, are the only U.S. distributor for them. So if you go to their website, they've got them all for around $500 US.
Yeah, before the whole tariff situation, you would have probably bought a Cube Controls wheel directly off of Cube Controls website from Italy. That's how I bought mine. But now that you have the tariff situation, you probably want a U.S. distributor like this. Now, I don't know if this guy's legit or what, but yeah, he's got them for sale from $491.51.
Well, one of the posts is actually a video of his storage, his inventory. Well, I mean, I guess we don't have any way to really know where that was taken, but you know.
I have a Cube Controls. It's a little bit higher end than this one, but it's still no display. It's got 4 knobs on the middle versus 2. But I love my Cube Controls wheel. It's really done me well. So I think I paid $1,200 for it or something when I bought it.
All right, so we're back to brakes. All right, go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, does that mean Micro Center won't be selling them anymore?
I doubt that.
Did Micro Center sell these? I didn't know.
Yes.
They sell a Cube Control, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they sell the old ones. I'm not sure about these. But yeah, they have Cube Control stuff.
Wouldn't that just be based on if they want to bring them in? I guess the company has to pay the tariff, right? To get it in?
Somebody does.
Well, they'll pay the tariff, but they'll also jack the price to cover the tariff. So they'll just have to decide if they think it will still sell or not.
I was just looking at it because it looks like they're on clearance right now at Micro Center.
All right, so now we'll transition back to brakes again, and got to throw this one to Mike. We have a review of the Moza active pedal.
Is that Mike's?
Yeah, Lawrence. That is the one. Not mine.
That's yours?
Probably.
They accidentally sent it to Lawrence.
So look, Lawrence Desossois, he got one to review, and in his video comments on YouTube, a lot of people talking about, oh, I ordered mine and never got it hasn't been shipped. And I said that too. And so I'm not the only one. I found some camaraderie there. And then on Reddit, similar stories where people say, oh, I ordered it and it hasn't shipped. But getting this review really gave me a peace of mind because Lawrence shows me what's in the box. His normal thing. He gives me his first impressions as he's going through the setup, the software, the driving of it, how he initially struggled with the software, but he figured it out, and all this stuff. At the end of the day, he's like, I can't tell the difference between this and the SemiCube active pedal, as far as the technology and the driving of it. And that is really, really reassuring to me that I'm not giving something up by picking this particular brand or product. The other thing that was very reassuring was as he showed off the software, I found a button on there that says load profile. I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want to be able to line up a brake pedal for a particular car, save it, and then load it when I come back to that car.
So I've been using the Moses software, Mike, since obviously I've moved to that brand now. I do see the it doesn't obviously detect the brake pedal on my thing, but I do have that tab on the software there, and I can see what you can do with it, some of that stuff. So it'll be interesting to when you get yours and how you set it up and what kind of profiles you use, because I got different profiles I can use for my wheelbase and for the setup that I want to race.
Yeah, so very reassuring to hear all this. Really, I kind of had second thoughts. Like the last week or so, I've kind of had second thoughts. Man, I should have just got that SemiCube, But now after watching this, I probably made the right choice.
The next item is Lotse Oval Wheels. It's a U.S. company. You can see it right in their URL, lotseusa.com. And we've got 3 stock wheels, or they're called, I guess they have them branded as or categorized as stock, probably for stock car. There's a 14-inch aluminum wire frame, or not wire, just an aluminum frame, a 15-inch aluminum frame, and a 15-inch steel frame, I guess, which that's going to have a little bit more weight to it and possibly durability. They're pretty simple. There's no buttons, but it's a good price and it's a USA product.
Yeah, I mean, this is a wheel that could be used in a race car. This is a race car wheel, but at the cost, you could easily, move this to your sim rig. Very similar to an MPI wheel. A little bit different, this got traditional. I think it's the traditional three bolt pattern, which is what you get on an actual stock car going into the steering shaft. But most of that can be converted into a 50 millimeter or 70 millimeter, depending on what your quick release is. So not a bad idea.
It's cheaper than the MPI wheels, right? Much cheaper.
I was just going to ask. I was going to say MPI, they are more expensive, weren't they?
Mine was $415 out the door.
Yeah, I've got a 14-inch. It's the MPI. It's the one he does for sim racing. I think it was $300. So
the Fanatec one's pretty expensive too, if I remember correctly.
But I mean, this is one of those things. Kind of think outside the box. I mean, years ago when I had my previous rig, I had bought an oval rim, and the company has now gone out of business, and I can't think of the name of it. But I'm not going to remember looking for stuff because I had Fanatec at that time, and the NASCAR wheel was just stupid expensive, back then. So ended up, I don't know what it was on Jegs or something. Ended up finding, an oval rim that I got a lot cheaper and just had to buy. I think I had the Fanatec. It was when they had the button box that you could mount things to, and was customizable. I can't remember it was like the hub.
DSL hub or something.
Yes. It took and mounted it to that, and it was perfect.
Side note: the Fanatec one is no longer available for the NASCAR wheel.
That's what I was just looking at too, Bobby. I was like, where did it go? But yeah, I guess you're right.
They said they discontinued. I think they lost the license going the Corsair.
I'm guessing that Club Sport drift rim is pretty much the same. It's just one less spoke.
All right, the next video we have is gonna win the award for terrible clickbait because it says Simucube in trouble, and then it reviews a pedal that, as far as I can tell, just glancing at the video, is not an active pedal. Am I right, Mike?
Right. I think it's the silliest comparison in the world. These are the black fat cat, something like that, and they have little cat emblems on them, and they got this weird heel rest that's kind of incorporated into the pedal, and so that it's got that unique look, and it's got a side plate on each side of your foot too to kind of hold your foot on the plate. So kind of a different looking pedal. Load cell, I believe.
It is.
135.
I don't think I'd ever use that heel rest though. I like actually setting my foot further down than that. That feels like it'd be floating too high.
Well, it actually moves with you. So when you press down on the pedal, the heel rest comes up like this. So if you watch the video from Dan Suzuki, it's pretty interesting. And what he was getting at, Mike, as far as compared to Simucube, they come with like a rumble motor on the back. And he said from a haptic standpoint, they do a really, really good job. And if you're not somebody who's wanting to change cars and the way the brake feels continually and everything, they'd be perfectly fine. That's what he was getting at there. Again, I don't think an active pedal's for everybody. For me, I want consistency in my brake. I don't care what the car is. I want consistency. I don't want to have to retrain my foot every time I get in a different car. I know that you like the idea of having it feel completely different. I don't. I want consistency. So an active pedal, I don't think it's something I'll ever go down the road of.
You don't even need a heel plate like normal, a place to put your foot, because this has a place for your foot. You could have these just hanging off the end of a pedal tray.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat. The guy's, I think he's an F1 engineer or something.
Former F1 engineer.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has some of the mounting issues he had with it. I mean, and Dan is, I think, pretty straightforward when he gives his reviews. But we had talked about these months ago, just a quick hit. I think it was probably an Instagram post or something. We didn't have any other info. I hadn't seen him anywhere. But he said once after driving for 10 or 15 minutes, the heel plate is super comfortable. He said he thought it was odd at first, but it became very comfortable.
Can we normalize standard brake mounting plates? Good Lord.
No, ask Mosa.
I'm a Greg.
All right, the next thing we have is manufactured mystery and artificial scarcity. We have a post from Vesserosin, and it says the countdown is on, and it's got a picture, but the whole thing is covered up. It says register now to be the first in line for the limited edition Vesero and Automobili Lamborghini Racing Simulator.
That'll be expensive as F.
Well, look, if it's Lamborghini, it's going to be great.
The rest of their stuff is we talked about them before. I mean, if it's in a business as a display or something, it's fine. They're completely impractical.
Lamborghinis are either meant to be on posters on your wall or sitting in your garage.
Well, it's on pre-order. We'll have to wait and see what it looks like.
Yeah, the only way I can describe it right now is it looks like a black sheet. All right, what do we have next, Will? Something with Apex Boss.
Apex Boss AI, according to the website, it's the next gen sim racing software built for elite drivers. Dominate iRacing with our AI crew chief, real-time data, voice commands, liveries, a sim marketplace, and high-performance next-gen overlays. I mean, you go to their website and it's a bunch of flashy stuff and a bunch of buzzwords. I started to download it, but I held off and I was going to see if anybody else had been a guinea pig yet. I didn't see it until we put it on the script, so I do not have any insight onto if it's good, if it's not. It seems ambitious. They have not only are they trying to make overlays, but they're trying to integrate your trading paints into their same software, and then they're got a whole sim racing used marketplace. I'm not sure what they're actually trying to do.
Voice integrated race intelligence HUD. Well, look, I put this in the Discord. I asked the listeners who wants to be the guinea pig. I don't think we had any takers. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if anyone tries this and reviews it. ApexBoss.net.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling through the website. You hit pricing, doesn't give you the information. Hit media, they don't have anything there. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to watch. I need to see a video. I need to see something showing this in action before I just download something and throw it on my PC.
Yeah, that's where I was. Like, I wanted to see it in use before I put it on the computer.
So it seems fishy almost.
Vaporware.
Slightly, yeah.
All right. Well, we already have mentioned Sarah as she's going to be at the Sim Racing Expo, but she put a video out. She's getting rid of her Fanatec shifter, and I am envious of seeing her take the thing and throw it behind her because I want to do the same thing. But she's installed a new one, an analog shifter.
It's hilarious that as she takes that Fanatec shifter, literally throws it up over her head like she's discarding it to the garbage. It's classic. I love it.
I guess did she put the review video out as well, or do we only have the?
Yeah, we got the video. If you scroll down, look, she goes over that H pattern shifter from the Alogs. Remember this company based out of Russia. I can't say enough about this. Every time we talk about Alogs, I love my sequential shifter. I don't feel like I need an H pattern. I have seriously thought about getting the handbrake though, so I have a matching handbrake and have them side by side. And that's actually maybe my next purchase is the Alogs handbrake.
What cars are you driving that need a handbrake?
I've been doing a lot of different cars recently, but the rallycross.
I'm guessing if she threw that behind her, someone catched it.
Look, Sarah's sweet girl. I love her videos. She's really clear about what she thinks about it and stuff. So excited to meet her at the expo. It'd be cool.
All right, tell us a little bit, Brad, about this next video that features sim mods that you need.
Yes, we had a kind of a quick hit here from Get Good Web Racing. So cheap button box. I think it actually shows off it's actually just like a USB, number pad, and get stickers for that and put it over top of it, and you've now got a cheap button box. Wheel dashboard mod with a phone. A lot of the stuff you can get is 3D printed and whatnot to where you can use an old phone. The brake pedal mods, moving the monitor and pedals setup, DIY handbrake upgrade, warning the VR pulley cable management. So I guess it's the thing that goes around your head to try to get G-forces. Eye tracking with one screen, the RPM lights and eye flags, and then the swivel arm mount for accessories. A lot of these we've talked about, in different form or fashion on many shows.
You skipped over the best setups, which gives us a chance to talk about our sponsor.
Yes, Premier Racing Setups. Fantastic sets. Been super fast every single week.
Race winning too.
That's right.
So look, good video, except for the part where he hooks his old cell phone to the Formula wheel. Like, it's not glue or I don't know, he Velcroed it, whatever. He but it just looks ghetto. That's a hard no. You're not going to stick your stupid cell phone on the front of your nice Formula wheel. No, don't do that.
Come on, he doubled the price with a screen. It now has a screen.
No, this is bad.
All right, Brad, go ahead and take the next one too. I cannot see this group.
Yeah, I'll get this updated in the script. I skipped this one. So this is it's a link to the DIY Sim Racer, and what this is it's a post from Billy Hensley. He said he's still working on my sim. I said he originally started with a full size car body and an RCR chassis, but due to the size of his apartment, he had to downsize a lot. So he's what you see in the pictures here.
Sorry, you said apartment?
Yeah.
He got it in his dining room like me.
So he's actually, if you look at the pictures, he's got, imagine the cockpit. So take a cup car, cut the hood off, and then cut the back off right before the C pillar or the C post, and now take and cut that in half. That's basically what he's got. So he's taken the roll cage out, and he's built it out with wood, but he crawls through the window, and he's got a Kyle Busch livery on here from the M&Ms, but yeah, he's turned this into a cockpit. It's interesting. Not sure it's something I would want to do, but
I mean, if you're gonna go that far, you're gonna blow hot air in there too.
Definitely needs a wind simulator.
Well, if you look at the bottom picture, you can kind of see inside. He's got a Fanatec CSL wheelbase, but he's got a nice little switch box there that looks very cup-like.
Yeah, I just can't seem to make out. I don't know if he's doing VR or which defeats the entire purpose if you're doing VR. I mean, there's a monitor like hanging out the window, but I'm not sure what that does.
Side mirror.
Nope, I can see now. So he's got triple setup. You see the you can see the other monitor inside. So that monitor actually swings back in. So once he gets in the car, he can actually close the window basically with the other monitor.
So is that like a window net? It's his window net.
Hey, to each its own. Pretty cool.
That's great until you run 600 miles. You need to use the restroom.
I can't get out.
Just pee in the seat like Denny Hamlin.
Make sure there's holes in it.
Then call your wife the interior girl.
Do you think he has a wife?
If that's in his apartment, probably not.
His bachelor pad?
I don't know, Mike. Any girls coming over?
Yeah. No.
I still can't get by what Mike said about any woman that has to get with him will have to realize I'm never going to have a dining room table.
All right, we have the AZ Racing Simulator, another Instagram post. This is a sim rig. This is their CS Pro Special Edition from the and it's in the Xiaomi automobile showroom, and it's available from Amazon. It looks like it'd probably be pretty sturdy, but I question the adjustability.
Looks like a sled, like a toboggan or something.
Yeah, we talked about them a few weeks ago. We think we found it on Amazon. So yeah, we said the same thing then. It looks like a sled.
I mean, the shifter side looks like it has a ton of adjustability. I wonder what the mount for the wheel has.
But if by a ton you mean you can move the shifter and the seat forward or backwards, and that's it.
There's a lot of linear adjustability.
I just mean there's a bolt hole for every friggin' centimeter on the one side rail there.
Yeah, in one direction. Right? And that band broke up a long time ago.
Look, the reason I put this on here is they basically say it's available on Amazon USA. Because right now, the concern is, are we going to be able to get sim racing hardware in the US with all the tariff problems? And so obviously you can get this.
There's better USA options. We know a guy that works at one of them.
How about
But
another Chinese option?
Yeah, so I threw this in the script. I get emails from AliExpress every day. I bought some of the dust, it's the plastic piece that go inside your 8020. I bought some of that off AliExpress super cheap. So now I get emails every day. Well, this was in one of the emails, and this looked kind of interesting. So it's an AliExpress dual mode shifter, switches between sequential and H pattern. But I don't know. I find myself looking at that stuff every single day when I get it because it's like stupid cheap and the prices are different every day. But I'm too scared to ever order anything because I have no idea what the condition is going to be when you get it.
Kind of an open architecture look.
What
It's
is
not
with a
even
lot of-
enclosed.
What is with a lot of these companies with the shifters? They like the open concept.
Yeah, I mean this one you can take and there's an adjustability handle there. Like there's a spring down underneath it. So I don't know. It's like I said, if you search anything on AliExpress for sim racing, you'll probably get an email every day. And again, it's every knockoff that you can imagine is on AliExpress, and every day it's a different price.
all right, this is a Moza release. Greg, I'm going to throw this one at you because it's just an Instagram post. You don't have to dive in too deep. I know you have some side projects going on at the moment, but it's the Dream Hack. I guess it's supposed to come out tomorrow. It looks like.
So this is the one thing that I always laugh at when I'm looking at, if you go to the Moza website, you can get anything for anything you want in a sim whatever from Moza. But they have all these themes, so like this reminds me of the trucking rim that they offer, but this is a Lamborghini inspired rim, I guess. So you can, I guess this would be good for if you're playing like Forza or something like that. If you want to use this type of rim, it's just a basic car steering wheel with a couple integrated, steering wheel buttons with a couple knobs. But I don't know if this is actually out of any of a specific Lamborghini. Is it saying?
No, but like you said, what do I need this for? I mean, I need an oval wheel, but this has got a flat bottom on it, so it's not really an oval wheel, is it? And I need a Formula wheel or a GT wheel. Where does this fit in?
I mean, maybe if it's a Lamborghini, maybe it's for Farm Simulator. They did.
It looks very close to the Camaro wheel in my car.
It's
With the flat bottom.
It's probably for
Yes.
Farm Simulator.
The whole design looks very close to the Camaro wheel.
Yeah, my Nissan SUV has a flat bottom. It's common in street cars now.
Well, it was quite common in a lot of stock cars too. Jimmy Johnson drove with a flat bottom wheel, so you'd be surprised how many Cup guys will use a flat bottom wheel.
All right, that comes out tomorrow. Let's talk results. Wednesday Open, NIS, Charlotte 600, David P8.
Yeah, well, it should have been about a top 5. We were on our last run. We had it timed out where it was going to be 2 full fuel runs to end the race, and we had a caution right after, I think, the green flag cycle completed. So we ended up with about a 55 lap run, and we're racing hard because it's the last run, and there's some guys that get a little wiggly in front of me in the tri-oval, and the next thing I know, I slapped the wall, not out of 4, but on the next part, and it caused wheel damage, which I was still fast for a little bit, but it just definitely hurt the handling, and so should have been 4th or 5th, but ended up 8th instead.
Okay, and then Brad, you got a P22.
Yeah, frustrating night. So started P3. Tried to make the conscious decision not to overdrive the car. It's 400 laps, 600 miles. Need to take care of it. So gave up some spots early on, but started to gain them back as the race went on. But from the very get go, guys were just driving like it was the last lap. I mean, we're 60 laps into a race and they're 4 wide, and I mean, it's just. I kept telling the guys on Discord last night. I mean, almost every accident we had was on the backstretch. So that just tells you how much idiot driving there was going on. But so had to restart about 70 laps to go. I hit the bumps coming through 3 and 4, just lost the car, spun back up across the track. Just embarrassing, to be honest with you. Managed to get all the damage fixed from that over the next 2 yellows. Ended up playing some pit strategy to get some track position back, but around lap 125 or so, had a guy underneath me coming out of 4, and he got loose, overcorrected, with his car. As soon as you start to break loose, and if you turn the wheel, I mean, the natural tendency is to go ahead and counter steer into the slide, but with this car, it just will snap you're right back. Well, he came right back across the track and just drilled me into the outside wall. I had 7 minutes of damage, and I stayed in and got the damage fixed, all to gain 3 spots before I retired. But it's pretty sad. I think when I tapped out at lap 145 and I fell no lower than 22nd place. So it just the amount of absurdity that was in this race was maddening.
There's the Open, my race. I tapped out with 75 to go with a DNF and finished 19th. Imagine that, out of 37 too. My race, I got to the front, top 5, and at one point, I got ran over from behind, and I didn't hit anything. That was the first caution. I had to come back up through the field. Got back to the top 5 around lap 100. Rode there till about 75 to go. I got doored to the wall. He came across my nose. I got spun. A car flew through me. I kind of was angry and pissed off and mad because I had such a good run up at that point. I was just running top 3, top 4, top 5, no damage, and I was just mad. And so I kind of gathered it up. They were waiting for me to come back by because they were trying to give me my spot back. This guy kind of goes to the left to let me go by, and then I go around him, and there's another guy parked right in front of him waiting for me, and I plow into the back of this guy. So now I'm at 8x, and then I hit for the penalty because I had too many incidents. And somehow I ended up DQing myself because I spun out on the exit of pit road. It was embarrassing, to be honest. I was just ran out of there with the tail between my legs kind of thing. David, you got a P4.
Yeah, I had a good top 5 to top 10 car the whole race, then got a little frustrated about halfway through. A lap car is just racing like a fool. He gets I don't know what happened, but he ends up in the grass in the tribal, and then he gets back up on the track and just comes up and completely doors me. I haven't gone back and looked at it to see if he was actually just out of control or if he really rejoined unsafely. So I didn't really. I just saved the whole replay, and I'll go back and look at it later. That caused really only about 20 seconds of damage, but in a race where you're running 2 to 3 long runs, that cost you in the end. Because I was at one point almost getting lapped after 2 fuel runs. I got that amount of damage fixed, and then again later, the same guy, as we're in a big series of long runs. It doesn't say anything on chat. I'm clearly running him down really fast, and I'm arcing it in the way I always do turn 3. He goes down low and just slams on the brakes with me literally right behind him and decides he's pitting and causes damage again. And it hurt the long run again. However, the way the pit stops fell, I got the lucky dog, but I didn't pit when I should have, so it started making me go behind everybody, so I didn't get to pit, so I had all the tires. Then we had a caution. I took only 2 tires, even though my left side tires are about 80 laps old, and held on through 3 green-white checkers to take P4.
Well done. Nice top 5. And then Bobby, you had the the killer P1. You mentioned another crown jewel, right?
Yeah, so I won the 500 Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, now the Coke 600. So there's three of them. And looking really for the Southern 500. I want that one. I'm going to say the same thing that David talked about and Brad talked about. There were some lap cars that were forcing the issue, making it 3 and 4 wide at times. It just did not need to be doing it. And it's one thing if you're one lap down trying to get your lap back with 100 to go. But if you're 10, 12, 15, 20 plus laps down, it's not going to happen for you. I mean, don't quit by any stretch of what I'm saying, but you got to realize there's a time and place to battle.
Don't quit, but don't put yourself in and put other people in bad situations. Don't get in the middle of it.
Yeah, we had a restart with 20 to go. I don't know how this happened, but the lap cars ended up right behind me in second place on the restart. And I jumped out on the restart, had a good restart. He had a fairly decent restart, but the guy behind me that was 8 laps down, 9 laps down, had a good restart as well, and ended up battling second place to the point where I jumped out to almost a second and a half lead in a lap because he shoved second place up the track. Luckily for second, there was a caution. We had to go at it again, and it kind of sorted everybody, but it's stuff like that just doesn't make the races enjoyable. I mean, when you have that many cautions for stuff that doesn't really affect the outcome of the race, it's kind of annoying. It loses we only had one green flag pit stop, and that was at the end of the race. And then a caution came out 5 laps afterwards.
The way the protest system's set up and there's the whole culture, there's no way to culturally push any amount of respect into the drivers. So people who don't want to show any respect in any situation are not going to.
It's going to have to be something that the racers players push. Eventually, maybe just you push the guys out that don't. I don't know, but it was the premiere setup was fast. I mean, it was crazy. Last night I got wrecked just minding my own business, and I just kind of went in the race with the same mindset that I was just going to run my own deal, just try to stick to myself. But I was just getting doored and dinged everywhere. Ended up doing a pass through and then just driving back up through the field with the lucky dog. But I mean, it was a fast setup.
Well done. Nice win. Big win. Draftmaster Kyle Pendergraft P6 top split started P16, had to play wreck avoidance and just ride around the whole race, picking off spots from drivers who just ran out of talent. Made a last lap pass out of 4 on the last lap to gain a P6. 8 open. Brad P12.
Yeah, P12 Charlotte. Just try to get a little bit of practice ahead of the 600. So started P13. Had a really good run going. It stayed kind of the top 8. Setup was really good. We had green flag stops, and surprisingly, A Open was better. I don't know. That's just the way they seem to be. We had green flag stops, and I came in just way too hot. I ended up having to abort to avoid wrecking. I mean, and I came in off track, and I was like, "Oh, those are water barrels. I'm going to hit them. Well, let's get back up on the track." So that took me out of the lead group. Ended up soldiering on for a 12th place finish, but kind of gave probably a 5th to 8th place around, place finish away, but just made a mistake.
IMSA Road Atlanta, David P2.
Yeah, actually, a couple of things here. I had 2 P2s, and then the very last on Monday, the very last IMSA race, I got home, and we had a tornado warning, and it ended up never touching down. But I've just been following tornadoes and weather long enough with my jobs and just being in Tornado Alley that we could tell it was going to miss just north. I was watching it for a little bit. It was like, and once we knew it was going to miss us, literally I was able to decide to run the race with 5 minutes to go. Finally, everything worked out where I was actually the pole sitter wiped himself out. This was the guy that hit me. Actually, he wiped himself out and kind of rejoined in the S's and hit me. But and I said I had damage, but I was still the fastest car at that point. He left. So I'm set to win this race. There's 5 laps to go, and everything goes black. Power outage.
Bummer.
That was frustrating. So yeah, I had the two P2s. I was actually doing pretty well at Road Atlanta. It's fast rhythm track, and it's one of those tracks where I don't even go off the visuals. I can just feel when to get off the gas and on the brake and such. And then this week P3 at Spa, and it's wet, but Spa's not too hard to drive in the wet, except you definitely can't go flat out at Eau Rouge. And that those two sweeping corners that I was talking about before, after the spoon, you have to really, really go on the outside or you'll spin out. And I don't know if I said P3 or not, but yeah, P3.
There's a lot of podiums there. Well done. IMSA Brad P20.
Yeah, Road Atlanta. So 4th attempt, another disaster of a race. Started mid-pack, was kind of floating between 12th and 15th. About 2 laps away from pitting, and packet loss warning comes up. Again, I don't get it. But get dropped again. I did relaunch into the race because I was just absolutely determined to finish one of the races. So I managed to do that, but just no rhyme or reason to the internet issues. I just don't get it. So, everything's been fine this week. It just can't figure it out.
Indy 500, David P13.
Yeah, Greg was in this race with me and tried to talk me down from the ledge, but what ended up talking me down from the ledge was when the caution fell. Actually, you were in the race, weren't you? Yeah. So I'm in position towards the end, and I don't remember it. 50 to go, 40 to go, somewhere around there. Actually, I think it was actually on the last run. So we were already done pit stopping.
In the last 30 laps.
Yeah, and a guy and I start leapfrogging. That's fine. That's a part of it. But he just fails to hold it down when he goes on the inside and comes up, forces me into the wall. And if it had stayed green, I was going to definitely come out and do my best to make sure that he didn't finish well, whether it was interfere with him or straight up hit him. I was ready to accept the consequences. The caution comes out right as my repairs are finishing, so I ended up just getting put back in the back of the field, and there's only like 8 laps to go, and there's just no way to not really screw everybody else's race up if I actually went and tried to get him. So he got away with one.
Did I put my results in?
No, but you were P6, I believe.
Yeah, I was P6 in the same race. I spent what, David, 140, 150 of those laps, a lap down from speeding on pit road because I didn't have my pit limiter button working properly on the first pit stop. So I was just trying to play strategy back and forth, trying to catch a caution at the right time, and I got one just late, and I think it was in the last 10 to 15 laps. I was finally on the lead lap and just couldn't make anything up at the end there. There was a lot of cars a lap down. The leaders were pretty fast in our split.
That is a nice run, though. P6. Moving on to Grassroots Racing MX5 League, William P7.
Yeah, so we took the MXIs and the GT League to Road Atlanta this week. P7, pretty good race. Top 3 got away at the beginning, but 4 through 12 stayed pretty close. So it's really hard unless somebody makes a mistake and bottle somebody up to break the draft here. So we had some pretty good pack racing the whole time. Last lap, 6 through 12 came out 3 wide, 2 deep out of turn 7. Going down the backstretch was going to be a great finish until somebody touched somebody and set off a chain reaction wreck. Got pretty heavy damage in that, but was able to come across at P7.
And then GTP, GT3.
Yep, so GT League started 6th here. I messed up my qualifying run. I was about 2/10 slower than I had been running, so thought I could have started maybe 4th. But started 6th. I felt like I had the pace for 2nd. Got up to 4th pretty quickly. Then rode behind 3rd for a long time because I thought I was faster than him, but to get the pass made and finally get around him, I thought it would have lost us a lot of time. So I just rode behind him for a while. right before pit stops, I half spun myself coming out of turn 5 and tagged the wall. GTP passed me at the top of the hill and just didn't get the move done as quick as I thought he was, and I was stubborn and kept on the gas, and it just got me offline. So got a little bit of damage from that. Was able to go immediately into the pits, get it all fixed, take my pit stop. Came out in 5th, shortly back up to 3rd, and then with 4 laps to go, a lap car got in the way at the top of the S's. I got impatient and made a bad move and took us both off the track. That took me back to 5th, and then I was able to get one position back up for 4th. Pretty good race, but kind of disappointed because I felt like I had a podium there for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you gave up a podium there, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. I continue to do the series challenge at the website is challenge.duncanwatts.com. Trying to get a start in every car in iRacing right now, and I'm one away. I have the Pro 2 truck left, and I'm waiting for the next week's schedule, and I'll do it then. So here's some of my races. Prototype Challenge fixed at Road Atlanta. Full course in the Cadillac, qualified 11th out of 16. Got up as high as P6, but went off the track once and fell to P10. I'll take the top 10. Then GT3 Challenge, fixed by Fanatec at Sebring. Qualified 11th out of 19. Finished P20. How does that work? Yeah, dead last. GTE Sprint Series at Watkins Glen. Qualified 14th out of 26. Did pretty good at the beginning, holding my own, but lap 7, I got destroyed from behind, actually. And then he hit me again after he spun me out. DNF. Then Proto GT Challenge by Thrustmaster at Watkins Glen. Started 4th, ended up finishing P2. That was a nice finish. Then IndyCar Series Oval, fixed at Iowa. Finished P6 out of 8. I lost 57 iRating. Then I moved on to fun at Hosted Cup Charlotte. Cup cars at Charlotte was 60 cars in the race. I qualified P29. Got as high as P2 during green flag cycle. Pit stops. I cycled back out to 9th and then worked my way up to finish P8. Super fun race. Then back to the challenge. I ran NASCAR iRacing Class B at Richmond. Qualified 14th out of 22nd. Got as high as P5, but ended up finishing P9. Super happy with the top 10. Wow. It was so interesting to get away from the vacuum cleaner Gen 7 garbage and run a real NASCAR. I gained a 25 rating. And then ran a standalone qualifying for the Ringmeister at Rickbotech in the Ferrari GT. And so then I ran the race after. They have a separate qualifying apparently. Ran the race after that. I ended up starting on the pole. So I guess that means I got a pole in that Ringmeister. I fell to second, and then a guy was trying to get by me for second. We ended up wrecking real hard going up the hill, DNF. Then I tried to run the Nord again the next night, started 4th out of 23rd. I survived to finish P8 by letting some people go that were just faster. I was happy to get a top 10 and a finish at the Green Hell. Then I ran the race again Wednesday night, started 4th out of 23rd. The top 2 tangled and one went off. The guy in front of me had to slow. I was able to get to second and hold him off for the rest of the race by running hard and finishing a very respectable P2 at the ring. Feeling cocky, so I tried it again. Ended up top split. Turned off the driving line, and I realized how bad an idea that was when I wrecked the car. Apparently, I really need the driving line there.
No wonder you can get around that track.
Yeah, I couldn't do it with the driving line off. I literally went off track and wrecked.
I've never had that thing turned on, and when I run it, it's just like, is this one of the fast corners or slow corners? That's kind of the hardest part to remember. It's pretty easy to tell if you're going left or right.
All right, final thoughts. Greg Hectus.
So I did a thing and I spent some money on last weekend. I've turned in my Fanatec gear for a new Moza setup. So I got the Moza R12 direct drive base, and I also purchased Moza GS V2P GT wheel with it for my Formula and GT racing, and then I've got the adapter so that I got my NASCAR oval rim to work with it as well. I also had to purchase an adapter for my Fanatec shifter so that I could use my Fanatec shifter still, and I also purchased a push to talk button that's going to go on my
And Greg's money.
That's okay. I sold a whole bunch of stuff that paid for it also. It wasn't any money that wasn't. But yeah, I got a push to talk button that I'm going to mount on my oval rim now that I don't have any hub that was attached. I had a hub that was attached to my oval rim that I can't use with the Moza base. Still,
You take the hub off.
yeah. So it was an Xbox hub for the PS or for the CSL Elite base that had a quick release on it, so that's not on that rim anymore. I'll put it back on the rim it originally came with, so I'm going to sell that rim. I got a McLaren rim I got to sell, plus my old wheelbase I'm selling still two here. But I'm excited. I haven't got really too much into working with it yet. I still got a bunch of tuning I want to do with it, and I'm hopefully can run 600 miles tomorrow night or Sunday morning, depending on how I'm feeling tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to many races with this setup now because it felt a lot different when I was running the 500 with it, with the feeling the way the car felt and going over a lot of the bumps and stuff like that. But I still had it on minimal settings at that time too. So
Yeah, direct drive is a drastic difference between a belt-driven wheel.
Yeah, it's a nice upgrade, Greg. Well done. Good choice. And I think you'll like it. All right, Bobby Jonas, final thought.
Oh man, just happy with the Coke 600 win. That's a big one. Just starting to clean up some of the wiring on the sim rig and hopefully just keep rolling.
Yeah, great win. You always get those big ones. Brad Wren, final thought.
Finish the show tonight, going to bed, getting up at about 1:30 in the morning to drive to Charlotte, North Carolina to go to Fan Day at Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. So the wife couldn't go, gonna spend the day down there and shoot back, try to get some stuff signed. But yeah, it's gonna be a tiring day, but gonna try to get another 600 in tomorrow night. So but it's gonna be fun. So there you go.
And you got a big old bumper cover you're trying to get signed, right?
I do. I've got one of Brad's rear bumpers from last year. So getting there early because only doing 150 tickets for autographs for him. So I try to get that signed. That would look. It sits on the wall in the sim room. So to have his signature on the back of it would be perfect.
Are you thinking black Sharpie or gold or what?
Silver. Got a
Silver.
silver one. Yeah, it's a black bumper. So.
All right, well, have fun with that. David Hall, final thought.
Here's a crazy thought. If you come to the Sim Racing Expo, you use our code to get your discount and you buy some of our merch, well, guess what? We'll be there and we can sign it for you. It'll be like our first autographs ever. That'd be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? So if anybody wants one, get a shirt, get a hat, get something.
you mean Mike Ellis is going to sign someone's baby?
Hey, we'll sign your bald head. How about that?
Well, as far as writing on people, that's going to come down to who passes out first in the after party. I'm putting my money on Justin.
There you go.
William Westbrook, final thought.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have much time to race over the next couple weeks, so I'm actually kind of getting antsy for that tire model rework 9.7 for the GT3. I'm really excited for that to come through. So, I mean, honestly, I'll probably get to do 1 or 2 races before that actually happens. So, really looking forward to that and can't wait to see what it feels like when it's done.
Before you go to the next one, Mike, I was going to say, David, can we really actually get drunk on American beer? Or should I bring down the real stuff?
We have real stuff here.
What, water?
No, you just don't buy it from all the big breweries.
There's these things that are like actual drinks instead of just piss water.
You want me to bring in a Stanley Cup championship from Florida?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to bring a flag that has 50 stars and 12 maple leafs on it.
All right. So my final thought, Moza, man, I've been patient. It's been over 60 days. They finally sent me that email that says it's gone to shipping, but haven't got a tracking number. But after seeing Lawrence's video about there's no difference between this and the SemiCube active pedal, I'm relieved. I can wait. I can wait another 60 days if I need to. It's not a big deal. I have a pedal to use. It's not like I'm missing racing. So now I'm kind of thinking about, well, how am I going to mount it? I'm going to take this thing apart. I need to clean the rig. The whole rig needs to be wiped down with a wet cloth. It's just dirty. I'm going to rewire the whole front of it, I think. So I'm just kind of walking through that in my mind. What am I going to do next? And do I want to buy that the handbrake? I'm kind of thinking about and install that at the same time. So that $900 I spent on that 60 days ago, that's bought and paid for. I'm ready to buy something else. So what's next? Spend my money. Tell me what I should buy. With that, we'll see you on the track later.